Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. It's Tuesday afternoon. We're ready for our GSN webinar. We'll let everybody kind of trickle in, and then we'll do some introductions.
It's almost the Brady Bunch. We're missing two.
Look up and down and look over.
I'm having trouble with the video portion. Can you guys see me? I can't see anybody else.
Yeah, we can see you. You want to look at the gallery view, Joanna?
Yeah, it's just telling me to wait.
Go to the right top. If you go to the right top, you can do different views.
Nope.
So are you gonna just do an intro for us, or do we have to do ourselves?
I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. Just notice John Gee is on the,
Here
on the
from
webinar
Paris.
from Paris. So we are global.
We are global. All right, everybody, let's get started. So welcome to our Tuesday afternoon webinars. We are really very excited that these Tuesdays have been valuable to our GSN community, and we thank you for your participation. I'm Joanna Roach. I'm the Executive Director of GSN Planet. We have Megan, who mans the controls. And this week we have a special treat. We have Thor Holm, who is our newly elected board president, who's going to be our moderator this week and lead the conversation, which I think should be really lively and interesting with regard to the role of practitioners and what happens as we move forward after this sort of, crisis that we are in the midst of. So Thor, very excited to pass the microphone to you.
Hey, thank you, Joanna. Would be remiss if I didn't thank our sponsors, Eminence Organic and Universal Products. And then also recognize Bonnie Baker as our immediate past president, and just to thank Bonnie for her years of service with GSN. So I'm going to go around and ask each of the panelists. I'll start with Diane because she's to my immediate right on my view. Diane Trieste, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please.
Ooh, Diane, I think you're muted.
Yep, she's looking. Di, I'm gonna give you a second. I'll jump to Joanna Downer. Joanna?
Hello. My name is Joanna Downer. I have a private practice in Meridian, Idaho. I am a GSN member. Currently, I'm just a one-gal show. I specialize in oncology, massage, excuse me, and trauma touch therapy. And I am currently also an externship site for a local school. So I take students at the last 6 weeks of their program, and I mentor them and get them ready to go out the door.
Awesome. Thanks, Joanna. Heather Bishop.
Hi, my name is Heather Bishop. I've been a massage therapist for almost 18 years, mostly working in day spas. I'm currently the massage department supervisor at Osmosis Day Spa, supervising a team of about 35 massage therapists.
Thanks, Heather. And Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel Varnes. I've been a therapist since 2007. I practice at the Meadowood Resort in the Napa Valley. I'm happy to be a part of the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. So Daniel representing resort spas, and Diane jumped off. She's coming back on here. Hopefully we get her audio. So I'm going to jump into the first question and have you, there she is. Diane, you ready?
I'm so sorry. Yes, I apologize. Hi, my name is Diane Trieste. And I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I've been in the spa industry for 30 years. I'm a massage therapist by trade. I've been in operations, and I've spent a lot of time in education. So I look forward to today's conversation and the questions and answers that will be given.
Great. Diane, we'll start with you. From your perspective, how will your work need to change going forward so that you feel safe in your workplace?
Well, I'm really going to heavily rely on data and science. It's hard to have a knowledgeable reaction right now. It's really interesting that we as therapists behind the board have already been educated with safety and hygiene. So, you know, using finger cots and gloves and different types of hygienic soaps, we're already familiar with. Perhaps the industry hasn't accepted them as well as we could have in the past. So moving forward, we'll definitely be needing to wear them. I don't think it should be a shock to have a mask on if someone has a sinus problem or a cold, or gloves if they've cut themselves. A lot of therapists are rock climbers, and what if they have a cut on their finger? They wear a finger cot or a glove. So these are things that we've always dealt with over the years. But this new virus is going to change the way others perceive us in protecting ourselves with hygiene. So I think we're going to have to wait and see what actually comes out of this from a statistical standpoint on the medical and hygiene side.
Thanks, Di. Joanna, from your perspective.
I actually agree with Diane. In regards to, we've already been used to practicing those similar hygiene and sanitation practices. However, I do see a lot of practitioners becoming really relaxed in that when they have private practices. And one of the things that that I have really been passionate about and thinking a lot about is in maybe talking with our board about requiring us to become OSHA trained and have some type of standardized hygiene and sanitation practices kind of across the board. If I remember correctly, in school, we're told that, you know, we have to follow employers' guidelines and rules, but in our private practices, we kind of get to do what we want. And I think that there needs to be some type of standardization regarding that. I also think that that would help us bridge the gap with more traditional healthcare practices. There needs just to be some overlapping standards. I know that Idaho is a little behind. We just became a licensure state in 2014. And so they're still learning, you know, it's still relatively new. So moving forward for myself, I'm going to be advocating with our licensure board and our local ANTA chapter to maybe see about standardizing those kind of things and require more, well, I guess I keep using those standardizing word, but more streamlined practices for everybody. With my line of work, I do, because I deal with immunocompromised clients with the oncology work, my standards have been pretty high. I think that if we're working in an office where there's other healthcare practitioners, that's where there needs to be some type of standardizing within, like, a wellness group per se. So yeah, that's kind of where my mind has been at recently. So
Great, thank you.
mm-hmm.
Heather.
I mean, I love what both of them are saying. There's definitely going to have to be some sort of standardization, and I would imagine that either the California Massage Council, I mean, in California, or maybe the National Massage Board is going to maybe need to make some sort of decision as to how massage therapists practice moving forward. Like, maybe we need to wear masks or gloves. I don't know how that's going to look. My concern in the day spa setting, especially a day spa like ours that has quite a few MTs that are sharing one bathroom and a lot of different people are touching the linens, is how we're going to deal with making sure that everybody's hands are washed as often as they need to be, making sure that the linens we're putting on the tables are actually clean and sanitary and haven't been being touched by multiple different people. And those are all things that I'm wondering how that's going to play out, especially if you look at like a couples massage where you've got 4 people in one room, potentially touching all kinds of stuff. I'm not sure how that's, I mean, we're going to have to address, you know, how often our surface is getting cleaned, who's touching what. And
Great.
yeah, I mean, again, there's going to have to be some sort of standardization, and then also I think a lot more protocols put in place to make sure that everything's really sanitized, and that everybody's being really aware of how frequently they're washing their hands, and how we're spreading our germs to clients, and how we're keeping them from spreading germs to us as well.
So I have a question regarding the green practices. Actually, one of the things that we had to change within my office was, well, we were collecting all our napkins to compost. We paired up with a local farmer to take all our compost, our tea, our coffee, and we got green hand, like paper towels, and we were composting those. And we pulled that back because we were concerned about possibly spreading that. That was something that my counterpart and I were trying to figure out. How do we continue to practice the little things that we're allowed to within an office, and still be safe?
I think
yeah.
I could contribute.
Go ahead, Di.
So that's a really good point. I've been thinking about that, and I think this is an opportunity for our industry to look at other professional industries, specifically the medical community, that deal with diseases and bacteria all the time. They have sanitary wipes that they use, and I think we just need to reach out a little bit more and not be in our little spa bubble, but to look at what do other practices do that are legitimate, and how can we adopt those best practices into our practices. And that's where you're going to see protocols change, and I know we'll be talking about that later. But I would really advocate that we reach out to those other professions, because they already have practices in place. I think that would be helpful.
Daniel, so you represent the resort spa therapists. Is that same question to you?
I want to mirror a lot of the things that have been said already. I really like what Joanne was talking about with a standardized protocol for hygiene and sanitation. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for our field and our community of practitioners to seek more of a level ground between the states, if that's at all possible, to see that standardized licensure throughout the country. Like as Joanne was pointing out, there are differences state to state in licensure requirements, and perhaps this could be an opportunity for our community to bring everyone on the same page. So obviously we're going to have to redouble our sanitation efforts and being very mindful about sanitizing not just the face cradle and everything that we touch, but also all of the doorknobs that our guests have touched, the knobs in the washroom when they wash their hands. We're gonna have to be really mindful about everything that we and they interact with. I think it's a good idea for us to possibly do temperature checks on our recipients and our practitioners, particularly those spas that have a large amount of people. When you show up at the beginning of your shift, possibly taking a temperature check. I know that you can have COVID-19 and not be symptomatic, but that would at least be something that we could tell our fellow staff members and our recipients, hey, nobody's sick today. At least a semblance of security in that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Daniel.
How long do you suggest that we might practice something like that? Is it just going to be until it goes away, or this is going to be a practice that we continue on just in the future?
I think at least until we have a vaccine, and at least until we can be sure that we've developed a herd immunity.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Joanna.
No,
So what, if any, changes do you anticipate in the treatment room? And I know we talked about sanitation practices, but how about the setup of a treatment space? Is that going to have to change? When we start with Heather.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, I think we're going to have to think a lot about the surfaces in a treatment room, and probably get rid of any excessive decorations that are just an unnecessary surface that people can touch and contaminate. I mean, we're going to have to, like at Osmosis, for example, you know, we have the blankets that cover the sheets that don't get changed all the time. And now, I mean, that may need to become something that gets changed as regularly as the sheets do, or we may have to come up with something that's easier to launder. You know, we're going to have to be sanitizing every surface that the guests could have touched. I feel like as a therapist too, you know, if I'm doing a massage and then I like scratch my cheek or, you know, brush my hair out of my face, I mean, that now I'm going to have to be aware that I don't do that. If my hands are touching the client, even if I have gloves on, I'm going to have to be hyper aware that I'm not touching any part of myself that could transmit something onto those gloves. And then there's also, I've been thinking a lot about when the clients are face up and we're kind of over their head, working on their shoulders or their neck. I don't know how we're going to keep respiratory droplets, you know, from being transmitted from one to the other. That's something we're going to have to think about as well. Sort of things I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Diane?
I think this is a big game changer. I think we've always had issues with timing and switching out the room, and I think this is going to be an opportunity to make a big leap where it's not just 10 minutes to switch your room out. It's not 15. I'm just talking generally, but I think we're going to need to change our schedules where there's more time for the therapist to do what they need to do, whatever that process is of sanitizing, the linen process. And also take a look at, you know, it's more than just hands, right? We might have to think out of the box of having touch and doing more shiatsu or Thai massage. And I'm not eliminating, God bless, I'm not eliminating skin touch. But, you know, there's a lot of therapists who work with their forearms. And now how do we cleanse that? So it's bigger. Talk about a ripple effect. And I think this is where we really need to completely think out of the box on how to address this. And it starts with not panicking in that little time frame.
Thanks, Doug. Daniel?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that's being said right now. We just need to be super mindful in our practices. I think wearing a surgical mask, specifically for that moment where Heather was talking about, where we're working on their neck and their face up, is going to be important for the time being, at least until we've developed a herd immunity, right? That's going to be really important. I think it would be best if in each room we had at least a wash basin. I know it's a Forbes standard to wash your hands before your treatment in room with the recipient. It gives a peace of mind to the recipient. Yes, my practitioner is practicing proper sanitation method. So obviously we need to wash
Thanks, Daniel. And Joanna, from your perspective. You're muted.
I agree with what everyone else has been saying. I was thinking about the time in between clients as well this morning. Schedules are going to have to change. Also, I think that that I'm going to probably limit how many clients I take initially. I had a full schedule, you know, before all this happened, and I just don't feel good about packing my schedule again. I'm probably going to titrate the amount of clients I take. Going back to like green practices, I've been concerned with the quality of cleaning products and still being conscientious about my footprint, and that's something I've given consideration. Yeah, also just being in alignment with the other people in my office too. That's something that I found to be quite important. You know, where the office that I'm in, we all just have different standards, and I think it's really important for everyone to be on board and to share similar practices and have a protocol for the common areas. So those are things that are just kind of my perspective, I guess.
Great, thank you.
Can I make
So,
a comment?
sure, Diane.
I just wanted to bring up that Daniel mentioned earlier about thermometers, and I think it's bigger than that. Like I really believe we need to be proactive than reactive, and we need to be prepared. But you know, the bigger catch is the asymptomatic folks. So you know, taking a temperature is great, but it's only going to eliminate, I don't know, it's going to create a lot of more stuff. Now could be pre-scheduling, like have you traveled, you know, like that whole preliminary questionnaires, but we need to look at the silent situation, which is the asymptomatic, and that's where the masks and the gloves and all that come into play. But there might be something more. I don't think we can solve it on this phone call, of course, but that's what I think is a bigger picture.
Great, that kind of leads into my next question, Di, is what measures will you take or suggest regarding reservation policies as a result of this? Di, why don't you tackle that first?
Well, without a doubt, there has to be some type of preliminary, like have you traveled? You know, where have you traveled? You maybe at some point we'll have tests available to know if we have the antibody. I mean, there's so many unknowns. It's really hard to even say how to be proactive today. I mean, we might be able to have this conversation again in a month. So that's it. I think we got to pair up with the travel industry and see what kind of questions they're asking and what information they're getting from their audience, which is really our audience, but in a different lane. I don't know. That's a tough question, Thor.
Yep, that's why I asked it. Daniel, how about you, from your perspective?
Yeah, we're going to have to ask the question about whether or not they've been feeling well. We need to, I know in my past I've had folks that tell the front desk, I'm feeling great, and then when they get into the room, they say, oh, you know, I'm just coming over something. I just got over something. I think as practitioners, to be prepared to turn people away that are in that position. If you are not well, you should not be receiving massage. I think that's the primary thing that we need to be focused on with the reception side of things, is making sure that the folks that come to us are not endangering us or our other guests.
Great. Thanks, Daniel. Joanna?
I've thought about sending out an email. I sent out an email before we had the closures too, asking people if they've traveled, you know, in the previous weeks not to come in. But it's strange. Clients will still come in if they're feeling, you know, if they're under the weather or whatnot. And I had to turn people away the week before just because they were still coming in. So obviously, I think that's going to be a big component is just making sure that we stick to our guns. In my private practice, I just can't afford that. You know, I'm dealing with immunocompromised people, and the regular clients that I see, I just can't have them, you know, thinking that they're feeling okay. So I have to really set my boundaries and my guidelines accordingly.
Great. Thanks, Joanna. Heather?
I mean, yeah, obviously what everybody's saying, I think we're going to have to be a lot more strict about who we let in the door in terms of any kind of cold symptoms. I mean, I know at our spa, like Daniel was saying, it's very common to get somebody in the treatment room and halfway through the massage, all of a sudden it comes out that they weren't feeling well all week, or that they think they might be coming down with something. And I think as therapists, we're going to have to be empowered in those moments to say, I can't do this if that's your situation. I mean, hopefully they won't be making it that far in the process that that's not coming out into the room. I think we're going to have to be a lot more strict with them in the reservation process to make sure that we don't end up with that situation where the therapist is put on the spot and has to send the client out of the room. And on the reverse side, you know, I also have therapists that are worried about losing income and will come to work not feeling well. And I think we're going to have to be really particular about that as well. I mean, if a therapist is feeling off in any way, they're not going to be able to come work either. You know, even if it's just like a mild cough, I mean, even somebody that's got strong allergy symptoms, I mean, that's going to leave clients feeling really uneasy. And we may have to be a lot more strict in terms of when people are allowed to come to work as well.
Great. So, you know, I'm seeing some comments from the from our attendees, and a number of them are suggesting that we look at the practices that are coming out of Asia and make sure that we've paid attention to how they get back on board, and would love to have you know, our corporate directors of all the large resort chains help and share those practices going forward and what's working. So Maggie, I just saw you. So this is a kind of a different twist. Prior to the pandemic, there was an extreme shortage of therapists, and iSpa had done research, and there's thousands of open positions. Just want to ask you each, how do you think this is going to affect our labor pool going forward and the demand for the work that you do? Let's start with Daniel.
I think both are going to be reduced. I think there are going to be practitioners who are no longer comfortable practicing because of this. And I think there are going to be recipients who are likewise no longer comfortable coming in for massage after this. I think we're going to see a pretty steep decline in business with a gradual increase as comfort levels return.
Well,
Daniel, I can't hear
agree
you.
with Daniel.
Yep.
You can hear me?
Couldn't at the end there.
I think we're going to have a steep decline in business. I think there's going to both be practitioners and recipients that
Heard
are
that
less
part.
comfortable.
Yep.
And I think we're going to have to plan for that. I think we'll have an increase in business as comfort returns. but I think it'll be a slow recovery.
Great. Di?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be hard for us to look at statistics in the past and then move where we are today and then moving forward because of what Daniel just said. There's certainly gonna be a lot of career shifts from therapists who've been in the industry. But I also wanna remind everybody that there are organizations like ABMP and AMTA where there's hundreds of thousands of members that are massage therapists that are not interested in working in the spa. So it's kind of like, I still think there's a big population out there, and maybe it's the opportunity of how can we attract them to a more supportive career and financial stability, even if it's part-time work. Or we're going to have to look at how do we change our employee structures, you know, to enable these folks who really do want to help and care for people in their career, but can't do it on their own anymore. And that's the bigger picture here, is how do we turn, you know, how do we take lemons and make lemonade?
Thanks. Heather?
I mean, I agree with Daniel. There's going to be a drop off on both ends of people wanting to get massage and people not wanting to give it as well. But I also see the amount of stress and anxiety that this is creating for people. I mean, more than once have heard someone say, I'm going to need so many massages when this is over. So I do think that once people feel comfortable to re-enter the world of massage, that there's a possibility for us to be busy. We just have to make sure that our sanitation standards and that our new protocols moving forward make people feel comfortable and confident in the services that they're going to get.
Great, thank you. Joanna?
In my professional forums, I see a lot of my peers really eager to get back to work. And I'm unsure if that is because they truly desire to get back to work because they're thinking about money, or if they're bored. I'm not entirely sure, but I recognize a lot of the interactions on my professional forums really show a desire for people to get back to work. My personal experience, even just in the last 2 weeks, I've had many clients call and ask when they can get back on the schedule. I just received an email from an oncology client that's scheduled for Friday, as soon as our ban was initially supposed to be lifted. My hope is that people are going to come out of this wanting touch because they've been so isolated. That's my very optimistic hope. I know that I'm looking forward to hugs, so I can only imagine what people who receive regular massages are looking forward to. I don't know anything outside of that. I don't know how much people are really going to be wanting to get involved in receiving or giving. I have no idea, really. It's just my hope.
Just my perspective, because I'm a one-man show right now at Osmosis, and I'm seeing amazing messages of hope and sincere wishes through gift certificate purchases for the person they're sending it to, saying you deserve this, you need this when this is all set. So I'm hopeful as well. This came from one of our registrants. So what do we do until we can do massage as we did before, therapists? Because we don't sell products. What can they be doing? Joanna.
This one gets me excited because I've been coaching my students on this as well. One of the things that I'm doing for myself is getting to know my software better and working on my marketing. And I feel like it's a great opportunity, a great educational opportunity for us when we have the downtime. Take the classes that we say we don't have time to take. Get the certifications, retake your CPR certifications. Oh gosh, I wrote all these notes. Just for myself, making sure that I'm doing things to set myself apart in the industry, continuing my my CDT certification, and also one of the things that I'm seeing in my professional forums is a lot of concern for finances and money. And I know that talking about money is kind of a taboo, but my hope is to maybe advocate with our licensure board and our schools to incorporate some type of personal finance education. I think that's really important, is to kind of reflect on the things that we're struggling with. A lot of self-employed people are not prepared financially. They're not saved up. They're really stressed out because unemployment's lagging, and they're not receiving any money. I feel very passionately about this, and I'm hoping to advocate to our schools and our licensure boards to maybe incorporate that. And I'm speaking with a student of mine currently about that. Just not give up. Don't sit idle. Do something to continue bettering yourself, and hopefully gear yourself up to come out of this strong, I guess.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanna. Diane, your perspective on that?
Well, for one, I'm all about education, and there's actually a lot of education online now that's free. I know ABMP has a bunch of different topics. I think, like Joanna said, finances is the biggest, like everybody who's out of work. I mean, how do you afford to live if you don't have other income coming into your home, which is really a hardship? So, I'm hoping that maybe in the resort industry and the destination and the larger companies, that maybe we can work something out with vendors, and maybe they should pivot a little so we can have some type of retail revenue while we're out. Maybe this is an opportunity for us to teach our therapists to communicate better with their clientele base, repeat clientele, touch base, reach out, communicate, and also offer other types of, CBD oils, or I don't know, aromatherapy products and things like that. It's a tough time. We have to be creative, but the biggest thing is educating ourselves how to do self-care, so we stay emotionally grounded and spiritually grounded, and know that we have a support system at work. I think that's a big thing. Managers reaching out to their staff, and we can't become staff's therapists. We just have to be there to let them know that we all have to be together in order to grow and have our clients trust us again. Because I really believe it's about the trust and communication. Everybody wants to be held, and I think that's going to change. I mean, I think this is a big shift. This is a different type of change in our industry, and it seriously is not going away over the next couple of months. So we have to prepare ourselves and each other to support each other.
Thanks, Di.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. Heather, from your perspective.
I know we're talking about what people can do to make income or to fill their time.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally have been busy homeschooling my children, but I've thought, I've had a few people contact me with like a Zoom belly dance class that's available, or a YouTube video of a workout. But I feel like there's a potential market out there to offer sort of online massage trainings for you to massage your partner at home, or, you know, I mean, I know some people are stuck at home with nobody that they can access, but for people that are home with other family members, you know, being able to offer them sort of instruction at home. I don't know if it would be via Zoom or YouTube, or I need to grow my own internet skills to really be able to know how to market that. But I think there would definitely be a market out there for people to be able to kind of sell an online tutorial for how people can do self-massage or to massage somebody that they live with. It's a possibility.
Excellent. Daniel.
Can I just make one,
Sure.
can I just say one thing? Because we have to be careful, unfortunately, because all our states have different laws and there's different ways of education being acceptable for self, even touch. So I just want to recognize that so we don't get ourselves in trouble.
Yeah.
Thanks. Daniel.
I love that everybody's talking about education, going out and finding new skills in this time where you can really focus your attention on learning those skills and acquiring them. Be sure to practice on your loved ones at home and keep your skills up. Definitely be sure to spend a lot of time exercising and keeping yourself as healthy as possible. That's the best way that you can protect yourself and your community when you return, is to just continue to take mindful practices about your own health. Maybe take a cooking class just to learn how to cook healthier food for yourself. So that's just time consumption. I don't really know about what you can do to be earning right now. I'm one of the millions hoping for those unemployment benefits to be rolling in, and I'm hoping that we can start working again before those run out. But I remain hopeful, even though I said I know we'll have a great reduction in business. I do think that there are a lot of people still craving touch and connection, and everyone needs a calming aspect in their life right now. So just be healthy, be ready to come back, and try to have what fun you can in the meantime, I suppose.
Great. Thanks, Daniel. Joanna, did I ask you? Okay. So, you know, I think we've all seen how this pause has helped the earth to kind of heal itself. And so there's some good coming from this, as terrible as all the deaths and the financial stress this is causing. But personally, what have you seen good happen for you, and what will you make work for you going out in the future? Diane.
Oh, well, I think this time, I was able to download an app, and I've been much more contact with my family, who's all on the East Coast. And so all of a sudden we have all this time, and I'm doing videos, and it's like silly videos, just like, hi, I'm up, look at my hair, you know, but fun, that connection and with friends, spending a lot of time grounding and earthing, being out in the yard and, you know, planting, and it's awesome. I also think, and this might be ridiculous, but I've been more forward to people. Like, I have a mask on when or if I'm out, if any. And I tell people I'm smiling under my mask, you know, and it makes people happy, you know, because we're kind of so, all of a sudden we're so in and non-touch and upset. So we have to let go a little, and I'm just being overly obnoxious. Not that I already am, so it's kind of easy.
Thanks, Di. Heather.
I mean, in a certain way, I've been really enjoying the slowing down. You know, I have 2 children, so it was like a rush every morning, getting them out the door and getting them to school, and then being at work and managing people and doing massages. And yeah, I just feel like I've been really kind of able to slow down and enjoy my children and enjoy being out in the yard. All the gardening stuff I could never get to before, all of a sudden I have some time for that. And, you know, as a massage therapist, I feel like we're kind of trying to give people that sense of slowing down and being quiet. And I realize how kind of little time I had to give that to myself before. And now all of a sudden I have time to enjoy that sense of slowing down a little bit more as well. And hoping that I can keep that in me as things start to pick back up and bring that into my work and hold space for that a little bit more than I have in the past. Great.
Thanks, Heather. Joanna?
I have experienced a lot of wonderful, good things. I've really been appreciative of movement. I've been running a lot outside, and I'm noticing people outside a lot more, but also being very intentional about smiling and waving at one another. And while we have to take into consideration the social distancing, I'm recognizing that people are being more intentional about keeping that distance, but acknowledging one another and saying hello and eye contact. I see the same people on my runs every day and they wave at me now, whereas before they probably would have been on their phones and not even acknowledged me. More adults are outside now playing with their kids, I've seen, and that's really encouraging. I'm seeing a lot more intentional interactions. I myself have been participating a lot in coffee dates with my mentor and my siblings that are out of state because they're on quarantine as well, and so they have more time, and that's really great to make those coffee dates in the morning and to be intentional about that time. And also kind of acknowledging their perspective in different parts of the country. You know, people are experiencing this in different ways, even though we have similar restrictions. Intentional interaction and community. Community has been a big deal. My neighbors have been helping each other out, mowing each other's yards. It's just so heartwarming to see intentional interactions. My neighbor and I traded toilet paper and a can of chili. I love that we're, having fun with it too. I mean, it's kind of a crappy situation, but we're all kind of smiling and laughing and being silly about it. Otherwise it gets kind of sad and depressing. I'm seeing a lot more gardening happening. I'm an avid gardener and dirt nerd, and I'm finding that a lot more people are wanting to learn how to garden and grow food and preserve and store, and that gives me great joy because I have been doing that for years, and now everybody else is kind of joining the party, so that gives me joy.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel?
I've really enjoyed watching the way people have been supporting each other throughout this experience. A lot of times when these major catastrophes happen, we rise to the occasion to be supportive of one another, and it's nice to be a part of that support. It's not our industry, but I've really been happy to see the grocery stores let the old people in for an hour every day. And I think they should continue doing things like that. I like that as something that's going on in society. I hope we can carry that forward. I love what Joanne was saying about noticing about when I'm in public, people are more aware of my presence and everyone else's presence. You don't see someone who's just oblivious, standing in the aisle, not getting out of anybody's way. Or everybody's more mindful about keeping that physical distancing and respecting everyone's need for space. I've really enjoyed seeing that happen in society. From a more personal standpoint, I've enjoyed my coffee with my jasmine every morning. Watching it grow has been really enjoyable. I planted some this spring, so just watching the green, the kale and the cabbages and stuff grow every morning with my coffee has been probably my biggest joy through this experience.
Great, thank you, Daniel. Great suggestions by all of you. Next week is Earth Week. I wonder if we can't all commit to doing something in our own communities to honor Mother Earth and take care of it. Osmosis is going to have our annual trash pickup on Bohemian Highway. We don't have to start quite so early because the traffic is pretty light around here. So we're going to do that at 10:30 in the morning. What's everyone else going to do to observe Earth Day next week? Diane?
I've been observing it every day. I'll just probably do more planting. I can tell you I've learned how to flash freeze things because I'm getting so much fresh vegetables. Yeah, I think every day is practicing Earth Day.
Great, great.
Earth Day birthday.
Excellent. Joanna?
I'm probably going to do some garden art with my kids. My brother is building me 8 giant planter boxes, and it couldn't be more exciting. So my kids and I are going to have fun with making labels for the garden and repurposing things around the house to create them. And yeah, that's probably what we're going to be doing.
Excellent. Heather?
I mean, I've kind of been celebrating Earth Day every day. We just dug and planted a vegetable garden. My daughter's been spreading wildflower seeds all over the front yard. Her teacher actually just sent another packet of seeds. I'm not sure where we're going to take that because our yard's pretty inundated at this point. Maybe we might ask the neighbors if we can spread some seeds in their yards as well. We haven't made any particular plans, but that's definitely something I've been enjoying a lot through this whole process, is just being out in nature as much as possible, even though we can't go to the parks. Still just enjoying the trees in the neighborhood and being able to be out in the garden and be grateful for that time. And
Great.
We'll probably try to do some trash pickup too. I really like that idea.
Excellent. Daniel?
I love the trash pickup idea. One of my favorite memes from this last year was the hashtag trash tag. It was so beautiful to see people go out to dirty places and pick up garbage. So I think I've just adopted that idea. I like it. It sounds great.
Excellent. So finally, this is a time where people that are still working, that are they're front-facing individuals in industries that we kind of took for granted for a long time, the grocery clerk and people in gas stations and certainly our healthcare workers have really been at risk and shown tremendous courage. I think about transportation workers and what they're going through in New York. It's kind of changed our shift in our attitude and demeanor. How do we keep that going and make sure we recognize people for the amazing work that they do? And as common as it might be, driving a bus and taking and caring for those lives and then putting your own life at risk. How do we take that going forward? Diane? You're muted.
Maybe we have Workforce Appreciation Days. And we create something that's non-touch, right now, our industry can also recognize other industries. It's the same thing. And we're also connecting the dots because at the end of the day, those people could be our clientele, right? So why not give back now? I personally, I always say thank you. 9 out of 10 times I stop somebody who's at the cashier or even the gas tank. Even at the bank, like I'll use an ATM, or when I go inside, it's the first thing I do is thank them. And I just think, why can't we do that? You don't need a disease to be nice to people, right? But I think our industry is so much more compassionate that maybe we can do recognition of those folks.
Excellent.
Like, it's National Dog Day. Well, maybe our industry can create different national career days for everybody. I'd be grateful for.
Thanks, Di. Daniel.
I think we as providers can absolutely offer the heroes in our community some sort of thank you when we return to work. We can offer them services in exchange for the wonderful work that they've done for our community. But more than that, I think everyone as individuals can vote for someone who will put forward policies that will support those people. I won't tell you who to vote for, but I think that's particularly important.
Thanks, Daniel. Joanna?
I really haven't thought a whole lot about it. Like Diane, I'm always telling people I appreciate them, and that's something that I incorporate into my daily life anyway. But I think the suggestions for creating some type of appreciation day or period, some type of love gift in that regard is a really great idea.
Okay. Heather.
I agree also that offering, once we're back, some sort of special deal or promotion for those people is great. But I've just been reaching out to the people that I know, the doctors that I know, or the nurses that I know, or anybody that I feel, even people that are delivering packages or they're working in the grocery stores. I've just been trying to reach out and let them know how much I appreciate that they are working so hard, and how great I think that is. My daughter's teacher actually did a really sweet thing too. She sent some envelopes to all the kids of the parents who are doctors or nurses or whatever, and has encouraged the children to write letters thanking those people for working so hard during this time and trying to keep everyone healthy. I really liked that idea of just kind of reaching out to people that are in your own community that are working those jobs, and just taking the extra time to be grateful to them, or send them a letter or an email or whatever. Just letting them know that you see and appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Heather,
Hey,
today
I got a good idea about, how Crocs put out, we're giving away X amount of Crocs to medical, first responders. Or maybe our industry somehow we create the same kind of thing, appreciation certificates. Yeah.
Yeah, today
it costs money.
we're welcoming our first guest from the West County Health Services. So these are people on the front lines in West County, Sonoma County. And so I have a doctor and her family coming this afternoon to enjoy our gardens. Kind of a unique opportunity because Osmosis is closed and we have a large space to be able to do that. It's not always possible, but that's an effort. So I've got a person lined up every afternoon this week, and then going forward, we'll keep offering that. But great suggestions by everyone. We're at 1 o'clock now. Any last words of advice or words of encouragement? Start with you, Joanna.
Words of encouragement. I think moving forward, the spirit of our work is very person-oriented. We do have serving hearts, and that's one of the reasons why we chose to do what we do. I think that if we continue in alignment with our core and serving our clients in a different way that we're not quite used to, I think that's going to make a huge impact on our work coming out of this, is just continuing to love on one another and continue serving in the spirit that we're used to.
Thank you. Heather?
I think using this time to really do the self-care and to keep our attitude positive and good, so that when we do go back, we can bring that and share that with our guests rather than coming from a place of anxiety or stress. And also just having faith that we will figure out new protocols and we will find a way to still touch people and care for people in a way that's safe and sanitary. I really have faith that we're going to come out of this and find a way to move forward.
Excellent. Thanks. Daniel?
Everybody continue reaching out to your loved ones regularly and just carry the love through. Just be happy. Try to spend as much time outside as you can and keep yourself as healthy and ready to come back to bring that love to your community when you're able to.
Excellent, Daniel. Thanks. Diane, wrap her up.
Yeah, okay, I hear I'm the closer. So here's the reality. I just want to remind everybody that our frontliners, our practitioners, estheticians, massage therapists, they're the base, really the base of a lot of our revenue. And they're the people we really got to protect, and support. And I'm being a realist when I say this isn't a flu. This is a pandemic. We are in we have a situation globally, and we can't pretend it's going to go away tomorrow. I mean, this is going to change our industry. We all know that. I just want people to do what they need to do, stay home and distance, and we have to support that by not nudging the factor of opening up and touching and doing things that'll not let this rest, because we need our industry to support every single worker, from the locker room attendant to the front desk person. And we need to be smart. So we're the ones at the helm here that need to say, no, we need to draw a line and make sure we're going by science and statistics and data in order for us to move forward with all our customers who are the consumers and the general public. And I love this industry, and I want us all to walk away with this with high-fiving each other, because I know we're gonna get through it, and we're very smart. So we all just gotta get around the table and think out of the box, and we're gonna walk right through this. And thank you all for inviting me on the panel, and all of you listening to us. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Di. Joanna Roche.
Well, thank you, everyone. That was awesome and totally inspiring. And Thor, you did a great job.
Thank you.
You did a great job. And you know what? During all of this, there's been so many comments going on in the chat box that it's been hard to even keep up with them. Thank you, everyone, for their thoughts. I just wrote to everyone that we will 100% be staying with this topic. Patrick Huey, during this entire conversation, has already put an email between me and Lynn McNeese at iSpa. I'm confident that we will get a group together and we will start working on this jointly, so that we can come up with some solutions for our industry. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.